Good morning, Tottenham fans. Before I get into the video about these two players can save our window, let's just think back to the beginning of the summer transfer window. When we were told Levy was taking a back seat, not getting involved in any of our dealings, we was told there was a big influx of money coming in from stadium right deals, and we just thought ENIC were pumping in money. Then Levy comes out in an interview and says, we want to win Premier Leagues, we want to win Champions Leagues. And obviously none of us believed him at first, but then when we got that bomber of Morgan Gibbs-White and Kudos bang at the same time, we all were like, whoa, we are actually now starting to show ambition. We're acting like a big club. Levy does mean what he says. He's actually changing. Finally, Spurs are heading in the right direction, in the direction that we've all wanted for many, many years. Then all of a sudden, the Morgan Gibbs-White debacle, the saga went on for 2 weeks, wasted a lot of time, ended up not coming, ended up signing a new deal with Nottingham Forest, extended it by a year. So we ended up with Kudos. Then we signed Paulinho, and I was absolutely ecstatic with that. I think he's an absolute exceptional player. I was very happy with the two signs we had. Then there was this waste in time with Eze. And again, I don't blame the club for this for once, because as soon as I found out what really happened, we were trying to sign him up. He was behind our back phoning Arsenal to say, come and get me. I don't want to join Spurs. So I'm really glad he didn't join us now, and he can go to Arsenal and, retire from winning trophies. That's up to him. But all of our upbeat, we just won the Europa League as well. We're in the Champions League now. So we had all this upbeat. We all thought everything was falling into place. We thought finally Spurs are getting there. We're getting to where we want to be. We're thinking about signings. We're thinking about having Savinho, Eze, Morgan Gibbs-White, Kudos in the team, maybe even a Wissa. We were saying all these things. Now it looks like 5 or 6 days, just under a week now, until the window closes. And since Paulinho and Kudos, we've signed nobody. And the biggest frustration is, we've watched other clubs, signings after signings after signings. Now, if Arsenal sign that Hincapie guy, they've spent almost, I think, 400 million or something like that, or 300 million, something crazy. Sunderland has spent over 120 million. Forest has spent over 100 million. Liverpool spent 200 odd million. The list goes on and on. You get the picture. And watching Spurs have actually spent 55 million on Kudos and 5 million on Kota Takai, and a loan move for Paulinho, after winning a European trophy, gaining Champions League football, and being promised that we want to win Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues. Can anybody not understand why we're frustrated? Because when you tell us you have all that ambition and then show none, like anyone can say, I was trying to sign that player, or I was trying to sign that player, or I was trying to, and then it not happens. If this was, let's say if this was the only window it happened in, we tried to sign the big players and it didn't work out, but we've tried it in the past and it did work out, we'd been all right. But it happens season upon season upon season upon season. Which is why when it happens again, we're referring back to the season before when it happened again and again and again. And this is the frustration from Spurs fans. It's not just we're entitled to top players. It's we seem to go for players that we're never going to get and then say, oh, we tried. We tried to get that player. So fast forward now to 5 days to go, and these two players could save the window, in my opinion. But again, I seriously don't believe it, just because of the way this window's gone so far, and the fact that we've got under a week to do it. It takes us 2 weeks just to monitor a player. It takes us 4 weeks to get advanced. So 5-6 days doesn't seem like a lot for Tottenham, and especially to sign big name players. If you're new here, by the way, please hit that subscribe button. I know it doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a hell of a lot to me. It's free. Hit that subscribe button. Join this brilliant community we have of Tottenham fans. I have daily videos every single day. I'm very active in the comments, so hit that subscribe button. Hit that like as well if you think we will make a sign-in before the window shuts. I'm going to get 0 likes, I think, on this one. Okay, so the 2 players I think that could actually save this window, and they're very far-fetched, I have to say. They're very far-fetched. One on the left wing. Sonny's left, remember. So we've left a gaping hole, in my opinion. Yes, we've got Tell, Odeburn, Johnson there, but they're all young lads, in my opinion. They're not that quality that we had, you know, when we had Sonny and Kane. Now we've got Johnson and Richarlison. Richarlison's having a great season, don't get me wrong, but it's a massive drop-off from Sonny and Kane. It really is. So we need to get someone in on that left wing, and the player I'm talking about is Savinho. People tell me he's only 21, he's still a young lad himself. He is a young lad, but he's a very experienced young lad. He's a Brazilian international. He had an exceptional season last season, and people say he didn't score many goals. Great. He had 10 assists though, and hit the woodwork 3 or 4 times. He had a few shots where the goalkeeper done a brilliant save. So there was chances where he could have scored a few more goals. And it was his first season in the Premier League, and he's playing for a top club like Manchester City. It took him a little while to bed in. I think he will be an exceptional signing. Spurs have to pay 70 to 80 million for this guy, and I think he'll be worth it. He's because of his age as well. And if he gets better and better and better, he will be worth double that, I'm telling you. So get him in. We can afford his wages as well. So it really is a no-brainer to just spend the money and save the window. Because after the embarrassment of Morgan Gibbs-White and Eze, Tottenham fans do deserve that big bomber. They do deserve that big dopamine rush of, yes, we've signed a decent player. And Savinho would do that for us. We would say, right, thank you. That is a good signing. That's what we've been waiting for. That's what we've been hoping for. That's what we want. But will it get done? I would say that deal would be about 10%. And only because Tottenham are not known for putting up the money. I would say 90% if we were Chelsea, for example. Because Savinho wants to come to us. Frank said he loves him. He said he wants him to be the face of Tottenham Hotspur. Savinho wants out of Manchester City. Pep don't normally stop people from leaving. There's only one board member at Man City that's stopping this from happening. So for me, it should be give the money and take him. But it feels like Spurs are not putting up the money again. It feels like we're trying to bargain and barter from that 80 million down to 60 million and then pay it in installments and then have incentives on top of that and doing all this. We've got 5 or 6 days left, guys. Come on. We can't be doing that. Put the money forward and sign this top player. You have a chance to save this window and to get the fans off your back. You should sign Savinho. Now, the second signing we should definitely bring in is a number 10. And I'd say the perfect signing would be a Morgan Rogers. But again, that's almost impossible to do. He would be, in my opinion, probably a better signing than a Morgan Gibbs-White would have been. And he would 100% show us fans that the board are showing ambition and they do want to win things. But Morgan Rogers would be another pipe dream for me. It would be so difficult to get done. Aston Villa would not want to let their prized asset go, especially to a rival now, because we're competing with Aston Villa in the league now, believe it or not. We're competing with them now. We're not competing with the Chelseas, Arsenals, Liverpools and Cities. We're competing with the Newcastles, the Villas, the Brightons. Unfortunately, that's where we are at the minute. That's why we need to make these top signings to go levels above them to then start fighting for the top. If we sign these 2 players that I just mentioned, we will be competing with those top teams. But if we don't, it's going to be another, I'd say, fighting for 7th, 6th and 5th. It really would be. Another number 10 we could sign and I'd be just as happy with, well, not just as happy with, but I'd be very happy with, is Paqueta from West Ham. Now, they're saying 60 million will get him over the line, and he would be available. But again, would West Ham be dealing with us again? it looks like now, the news just out, that Basuma is going to go to Galatasaray. Now, will West Ham come in with a late bid quickly to say, look, if you give us Basuma, we will give you Paqueta? Now, the reason why I'd be very, very happy with Paqueta is because he's Brazilian. If we sign Savinho and Paqueta, that's two Brazilians. We've got Richarlison up front, remember? Brazilian. We'd have a Brazilian front three. And don't forget, Kudos on the right used to play with Paqueta. So Paqueta would fit in perfectly in our front four, and it would be an outstanding front four, in my opinion. He's a hard-working class player that will change games. And for me, it'd be a no-brainer to pay. He's worth 60 million, in my opinion. He's worth it by a long shot. And West Ham will be getting a good deal out of Basuma, and I'll tell you why. Because you've got their manager now there. Oh, his name escapes me at the minute. But he used to be manager of Basuma at Bournemouth. So, again, he knows who he is. He knows how he plays. He got the best out of him. No, Brighton, sorry, not Bournemouth. He got the best out of him at Brighton. So, how can he not want to go there? So he's still in London. He needs to be in... Basuma needs to be in England for one more year to get British citizenship. Go to West Ham, and then go to, as Graham Potter, that's his name. Go to work with Graham Potter again. Get the best out of yourself, and then go from there. And then swap Basuma for Paqueta. We've got a good deal. They've got a good deal. It's somebody they really need to. Paqueta wants to move on to a Champions League team. We're in Champions League. It all just makes sense. And Paqueta and Savinho, both Brazilians, would 100% save our window. It really would save our window. And I'd be happy with Paqueta, Savinho, Kudos, and Paulinho. How good would that window be? It would be a magnificent window. It wouldn't be a perfect window because we're still leaving gaps at the back, in my opinion. We still need probably another centre-back if Vuskovic goes out on loan, because we know what we're like with injuries with Romero and Van de Ven. But if we lose Basuma as well, maybe we might need to get in another midfielder, and that could be someone like Conor Gallagher, who I always don't want to talk about because that's another one that's probably a pipe dream that will never happen. But he's been linked to Crystal Palace. So if he's been linked to Crystal Palace, why won't he come to us? Is it his Chelsea links? Most probably. That's probably why he won't. He was on loan to Crystal Palace and he was outstanding for them. I remember watching him. He was such a good player. He was the best midfielder on the pitch. I think he was only 22 at the time, or 21. And he was the best player on the pitch then. So Conor Gallagher swapped for Basuma would be a no-brainer for me. If you had Conor Gallagher, Savinho and Paqueta coming in at the end of your window, you'd be over the moon with that. You really would. But are Spurs actually going to sign anybody? Are they actually going to sign anyone? If we ended this window with no more signings, then I would have an absolute meltdown on this channel. You'll get to see it all. I will be moaning like anything, because this Maddison thing, when people were saying, well, he only got injured a month ago. Well, we knew he was injury prone. That's no excuse. We only had him. Kulusevski was already injured. We knew he was going to be out till after January. Maddison got injured, but we knew he always does. That should have been planned in advance. If you're any decent manager or any decent planner, you would know that scenario was going to happen. Just like we know eventually Van de Ven's hamstrings will probably give up at some point. Hopefully it's not a long-term thing, but it has happened every single time so far. That's why we need backup defenders too. But they can save the window with these two players. But do you honestly believe, as a Spurs fan, and by the way, this window's gone so far, do you really think that we are going to save this window, or do you think we're going to be disappointed again? At the moment, I feel like we're going to end up being disappointed. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think we've left it too late now? Thank you for watching. Come on, you Spurs.